The 25 most toxic fictional couples of all time. Sometimes love comes with a little, or a lot, of dysfunction. The endings are usually happy, but in a fictional sense, they can be highly entertaining. Here's our rankings of the top 25 totally fictional relationships of all time. This beloved ABC coming-of-age sitcom, set in the 1960s and 70s, that ran from 1988 to 93 got it right in the end. Kevin Arnold, Fred Savage, and Winnie Cooper, Danica McKellar, were best friends. Yes, the series ended with the two as a couple, seemingly destined to be together. But they were never quite appealing as a couple. Mainly because Kevin was not likable once he started dating, he became too cool for his own good. Unlike the authentic nature of his character, he carries a torch for Winnie, showing off his vulnerability and insecurity amid the quest. So, the fact that the two went off in separate directions after high school, and Kevin ended up married to an unnamed woman and started a family, while still good friends with Winnie, provided perfect closure. If this were a modern-day couple, Ralph, Jackie Gleason, and Alice, Audrey Meadows, would have been divorced in a year. However, this was back in the day when couples stayed together no matter what. Ralph can be hilariously overbearing and hot-headed, but the real boss of the household was Alice, no matter how much Ralph wanted to send her to the moon. Alice was there whenever Ralph needed to be reined in, cooled down, or brought back to earth. Their toxicity was also quite endearing. Things weren't always rough for the Jarretts, but that changed after the oldest son, Buck, died in a boating accident, where the younger son, Conrad, was present. That death and Conrad's subsequent suicide attempt and stay in a psychiatric hospital threw the family dynamic into shambles. Calvin, Donald Sutherland, became overprotective of his surviving son, much to the dismay of Beth, Mary Tyler Moore, who just wanted to quickly pick up the pieces and move on with some sense of normalcy within their upper-middle-class North suburban Chicago bubble. Of course, Beth's insensitivity and inability to appreciate that she still had a husband and son to live with ultimately doomed her marriage in this Robert Redford-directed classic from 1980. Yes, American teen Bella Swan, Kristen Stewart, and 108-year-old vampire Edward Cullen, Robert Pattinson, end up living relatively happy ever after. Now, they needed to have a daughter so Bella could become a vampire and keep Edward from wanting her human blood. Strange attraction breeds toxicity that probably should have been nipped in the bud by Bella's adult figures. Then again, all that drama and angst made for one of the most popular franchises of all time. A fun example of when frenemies find love with each other. Maxine, Max, Shaw, Erika Alexander, and Carl Baker, T.C. Carson, loved throwing barbs back and forth at each other. So much so that those hilarious exchanges put them in bed together. Of course, the two could never make that love last, at least not within the confines of living single. However, as it turned out, the two had a child together when Max's sperm donor turned out to be Kyle. Toxicity tends to exist when one half of a couple, Janet Livermore, Bridget Fonda, is way more into the other half, Cliff Poncia, Matt Dillon, without reciprocation. In this case, Janet is a fangirl of the widely panned rocker Cliff from this Cameron Crowe early 1990s hit. However, both are immature and insecure when it comes to matters of the heart, but they are quite entertaining within the confines of the Seattle grunge scene. Talk about ups and downs. Bette, Jennifer Beals, and Tina, Laurel Lisa Hollowman, were all over the place as a couple during the run of this successful Showtime series. From the moment they met, the physical attraction was undeniable. However, the complexity of their respective lives seemed to hinder the staying power of their relationship. Perhaps that's why it made for exceptional dramatic television. Let's set the record straight, there are times when toxicity within a relationship works. Sure, it can be uncomfortable to watch at times, but in the end, we know it's going to work. From the very first episode of this massive ABC hit, we could not get enough of Mitch, Jesse Tyler Ferguson, and Cam, Eric Stonestreet. Whether hysterically fretting over baby Lily, at least in the beginning, To Cam's flair, remember Fizbo, for the dramatic, to Mitchell's hilarious issues with his father and sister, they remained the highlight of the show's lengthy run. Their two-part wedding episode in Season 5 is considered one of the most important moments not only in the series' history but also in network TV history.